After hanging out with my brother for an evening, my boyfriend asked me to dial back my relationship with him. I have been dating my boyfriend for 2 years now. I met him when I was living on the other side of the country, but about 6 weeks ago, I moved back to my hometown for a new job. My boyfriend is planning on following me, and once he gets here, we're going to get an apartment together. So for right now, I'm just staying with my parents. My brother also lives in my hometown. My brother and I are very close, always have been, ever since we were little. People have mistaken us for fraternal twins our entire life, even though we're 18 months apart, because we just sync up like twins do, I guess? I consider him to be my best friend and I love spending time with him, which we've been doing a lot of since I moved home. Anyway, my boyfriend is visiting me and my family right now. And last night things got kinda weird between me and my boyfriend. My brother came over for family dinner, and then afterwards, my boyfriend, my brother, and I sat down and watched a couple episodes of Daredevil. I don't know why, none of us really seem to like it, but for whatever reason, we keep watching it. My brother is one of the funniest people I've ever met. The stuff he comes up with is just so ridiculous and absurd, I don't know how he does it. Anyway, he starts making fun of Daredevil, which has both me and my boyfriend laughing. We're throwing in our own jokes, too, and we're all just having some fun. Then my brother really started to go into Kingpin, and I don't know what it was about these particular jokes, but crap, they were making me laugh so hard I couldn't breathe. My abs were hurting so bad, there were tears in my eyes, we had to pause the show so I could have a minute to compose myself. I haven't laughed that hard in years. Once I finally calmed down, my brother looked pretty chuffed with himself. He said something like, "I'm really glad that I can still make you laugh that hard." And then I said something like, "I think you're the only person who can make me laugh that hard." After that episode was over, I decided to take a shower, leaving my brother and my boyfriend to hang out. I like to take really long showers, and we only have one bathroom in our house. I was at the tail end of my shower, when my brother knocked and said he really had to pee. I said I was almost done, could he give me 10 minutes, and he said no, because he had to leave in the next 2 minutes so he could catch his train home. Okay, fine, he can pee. So he comes in, goes pee, and when he's done, he says something like, "That was some quality goofing off tonight, sis." I agree. We tell each other that we love each other, he wishes me a good night and then leaves. I realize that different gender siblings using the bathroom at the same time can be awkward and strange for some, it's not a terribly huge deal for me and my brother. I mean, we both try to avoid it, and if my brother hadn't needed to leave right then, he would have waited until I was done. It's not something that happens very often. So then I'm getting ready for bed, and I can just feel that something is bothering my boyfriend. He just seems really tense. So I ask him if everything is alright. He hesitates and says something about how he has never seen me laugh so hard before, and it kind of weirded him out. Startled, I asked him why, and he said it was because, okay, I don't know if I'm accurately explaining my boyfriend's argument because I really didn't understand it, but like, it was weird that my brother made me laugh that hard because he's my brother. It just didn't seem appropriate. Like, only friends and significant others should make me laugh that hard? I didn't really know what to say to this, so I was just like, oh. Okay. Then he started talking about how weird it was that he went pee when I was in the shower, and I started talking about how he had to catch his train. And how yeah, it's kinda weird, but when you gotta go, and my boyfriend cut me off and started talking again about how it just seemed weird and inappropriate, because I was unclothed. Or something? I don't know. So then my boyfriend asks if I would be willing to dial back my relationship with my brother. When I ask him to clarify, he explains that he wants me to hang out with him less. Like, a lot less. Like, the less, the better. When I ask why, he keeps going back to this whole inappropriate relationship thing and, I don't know, I was getting super emotional and hurt and confused at this point, so I just said something like, I'm having trouble processing all this. Can we talk tomorrow? He said okay, but wanted to add that he understands that my brother is important to me, and he understands that spending time with him makes me happy, and so if I don't grant my boyfriend his request, he won't make a fuss. But he just wanted to let me know his feelings on all this. After hanging out with my brother for an evening, my boyfriend asked me to dial back my relationship with him. The next morning, after breakfast, we were back in my bedroom, and I tried bringing this all up again. And he immediately looked uncomfortable and said, I'm sorry I mentioned all that stuff, can we just pretend I never said anything? And I was like, no, let's talk about this, and I started launching into this whole prepared speech about my brother making me laugh super hard and using the bathroom when I was showering, and he just seemed really distracted and kept shooting looks at my bedroom door. I stopped and asked if something was wrong and he said, look, can we maybe talk somewhere, not in your parents' house? I'm just super paranoid they're going to knock on your door any minute. Which kind of startled me again, but I said okay, and we ended up walking to a nearby park and sitting on a bench for a while. So we ended up having a super long talk, but here were the basic points. His family was very, very different from my family. I mean, he was an only child for most of his childhood, and when he got step-siblings, they were all teenagers already and they moved into a house with 1,000,000 bathrooms. So sharing a bathroom, family explicitity, all that? A very strange and foreign concept to him. When my brother got up, knocked on the bathroom door, and then walked in after I gave him the okay, it just really freaked him out. He didn't know what to make of that. And then I gave my side of the story, saying that, as he could clearly see from staying at my house, we did not have 3 bathrooms when I was growing up. And while I'd say, for 90% of my showers, I got the bathroom completely to myself, every once in a while, someone really has to go pee. I mean, that's it. It's just, not a big deal to me and family. And besides, once my boyfriend and I move in together, this will all be a non-issue anyway, right? My brother. And I won't be sharing a bathroom again anytime soon after that. 2. What he was trying to say about me dialing back my relationship with my brother was more like, he knows I spend a lot of time with my brother. Like, 2 or 3 days a week, not including all the time I spend at my parents' doing family stuff, which is typically another 1 or 2 days a week. How much time was I planning on spending with my brother and family when he moved here? Was I going to be out 5 nights a week? Or was my brother going to be around our place all the time? Because that thought really bummed him out and made him feel like he wasn't a priority. That made me upset. I never meant to make him feel like he wasn't a priority. But honestly, I hadn't really thought about how much time I was going to spend with family when he moved here. So we talked about that for a while, and expectations and boundaries were figured out. And no, I will not be out 5 nights a week with family, and my brother will definitely not be hanging around our place all the time. 3. I apologized about my comment about how my brother was the only person who can make me laugh that hard. He got embarrassed again and said that there was nothing inappropriate about that, and he apologized for phrasing it that way. He was jealous. But he wasn't really jealous of how hard my brother made me laugh, although that was part of the reason. He was jealous that my brother and I can see each other whenever we want, but my boyfriend and I can't do that, since we're long distance. And he was jealous that I had such a tight relationship with my brother, and how my brother knew me so much better than he did. The only person in my boyfriend's life that knew him better than anyone else was me. But he wasn't that person to me in my life. If that makes sense. I didn't really know what to say to that, so I said something like, I'm sorry, but, I don't really know what to say. My brother has known me for 30 years, and you've only known me for 3. So yeah, he does know me better than almost anyone else, but that doesn't mean my relationship with him is better than my relationship with you. It's just different. He conceded that this was just a hang-up he needed to work out on his own. Which is fine, but I still kind of feel like I botched the landing at this point in our conversation. 4. And finally. I wasn't expecting this, but he told me that while he was really appreciative and grateful that my parents were letting him stay in their house, he kind of really didn't want to stay with them when he was visiting me. Again, being around family all the time was a weird concept to him in general, but he also just wanted some privacy with me. He said staying at my parents' house made him feel like a teenager sneaking around with his high school girlfriend again. He really wanted to stay in a hotel. He actually brought that up with me a few weeks before he came out to visit, but I scoffed at the idea. I was totally thinking in terms of money. The idea of privacy didn't even cross my mind. Why would you want to stay in a hotel? You can just stay at my parents' house with me. He then said something about making too much noise and distracting them, and I was like, pish posh. Don't be silly, my bedroom is all the way on the other side of the house, they can't hear anything. My parents are so excited to see you. My dad really wants to show you the fig tree he planted and blah blah blah, and he was just like, yeah, okay, you're right. We should save money. He didn't want to object or make waves because he thought that would hurt my feelings. But I kind of felt like a colossal idiot for not realizing what he was actually trying to tell me, so I apologized for being so thick. Although, I did say something to him like, look, I sometimes forget that not everyone likes being around my family as much as I do. Please tell me if you're ever feeling overwhelmed by them, or want to be away from them, or anything like that. I get it. It won't hurt my feelings. So we actually pulled out our phones and looked up some hotels in our city right there in the park. We found a somewhat expensive one near downtown, but I was like, whatever, I'm making bank at my job and I basically have no bills to pay since I'm living with my parents, let's stay there. Which made my boyfriend stupid happy. We went back to my parents' house, and while he was packing his bag, I told my parents that we were going to go crash at a hotel for the rest of my boyfriend's visit. They both started to object, but when I said, well, we just really like some privacy, they understood. Well, my mom understood. My dad just kept saying, I don't understand why you're spending money on a hotel when you have a perfectly good bed right here. So, I think that's where I get some of my thick-headedness. We had an amazing few days together at the hotel. Oh, and there was this super cute moment. We somehow got back on the topic of my brother knowing me for 3 decades. And at one point, I jokingly said something like, if you don't know me as well as my brother does after we've been together for 30 years, then that's your fault, not mine. And then he got all quiet for a second and got a cute little smile on his face and was like, you think we're gonna be together in 30 years? And I blushed a little and said, I'd really like to be. And he said, I'd really like that, too. Which made me all warm and happy inside.